We're going to deal now with the Madison Township Advisory Board. And there were 6 people who put their name in on time to be part of this. One of the people was challenged by the GOP chairperson, so he's not eligible. And one of the people here is actually a Libertarian, and I should say that the Libertarian Party follows a different rule than the Democrats and the Republicans in that they don't have candidates listed at the primary. They apparently elect their candidates at their statewide convention. But we agreed to let the young lady who is a Libertarian and who signed up on time, technically she's not been approved by her convention to let her speak today. So that's why.
Oh, she'll be on the ballot in November. She's already on the ballot.
Well, yeah, she signed up. But she's,
No, I'm elected. I'm nominated by the Libertarian Party.
oh, you've already at your convention?
I've already been through our version of a primary.
Okay. So this probably rose between these 2 thorns is, hey, I gotta keep this in. Is Kristin Alexander. And to her right is Jim Johnson. And to her left, although he's not left, is Nelson. Okay. So these are our 3 candidates for the township trustees. As I said, there are 2 other gentlemen whose names is on the primary ballot who were invited and chose apparently not to come. So they're lost. So what we're going to do, real quick, we're going to ask these 3 some questions. And then I have a couple of county-wide candidates who I've promised to give them a minute or 2 because they're here and they've been patiently waiting. And the problem we had in putting this together is that we had 23 people that we extended invitations to. And they were primarily candidates who were affected in Madison, Brown, Mooresville, and so on. And to include everybody at the county level, I mean, we'd be here until election day. And what kind of fun is that? I don't think it's fun. Because I can't vote for you. But that's another story. So let's get started. And of course, having the trustee candidates up here earlier made my job even easier because what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up with these 3 on some of the questions that were brought up at the trustee. So let's start by, let's go right, ladies go first. Well, aren't you a gentleman? You want to
I'll go. So, like you said, I am a Libertarian, Kristin Alexander. I will be on your ballot in November. So these guys got to fight it out, but here you just get to hear about me. I have lived in Madison Township almost my entire life. I picked Madison Township to raise my kids in because my parents did a good job, so I might as well follow their lead. My great-grandfather was a volunteer firefighter at the Madison Township Fire Department. He was one of the first, so I'm kind of personally invested in this community. I attended the bi-territory meeting in 2020. That's kind of what piqued my interest in local government. I heard a current board member state that she was going to vote for the fire territory to spite the taxpayers because they had angered her. So I was like, red flag, I gotta get involved. I started attending meetings. I've attended almost every single meeting since that one. I began recording them and posting them online because I can't find meeting minutes. I'm really concerned about Madison Township. I'm very concerned. There is a huge disconnect between the board and the trustee. I want to bring a cooperative candidate to Madison Township so we can have principled government that's also compassionate. It is the board's job to hold the trustee accountable for his actions. He is the steward of our tax dollars, and we are his check. I don't see there being any cooperation between the checks and balances in Madison Township now, and that is leading to a lot of sloppy mistakes that are being found by the state, mistakes that are being made in regular daily operations that shouldn't be made. We have equipment that's out of service. Like Larry mentioned earlier, we have cots that we're borrowing while we continue to spend on brand new shiny things. We're not taking care of our firefighters. We're not taking care of our community now. We may be growing, but in 10 years, we've only grown by about 500 people. And it may be more in the next 10 years. But until we take care of what we have, we should not make any more. So I'm asking you to put your vote away from the Republican Party just once this year. Vote for a Libertarian, because there has never been a different party in Madison Township. So why would you continue to vote for more of the same?
Tony, you gentlemen, Jim? Okay.
Well, I'm the only current one on the board. I was caucused in 2020 in December, and that's the second time I was caucused in. It seemed like other board members couldn't last, and they haven't caucused in. I've been caucused in twice now. This time I'm running to be elected, make me feel better. Everything Kristin said is right. We're very dysfunctional, and we need management. We don't have management there. We don't have cooperation there. We don't have any input from the trustee on what's going on. We find it by accident, by review of the records. Like it's risky, but we didn't know about it until we found the check written for $150,000. I had to ask questions, and then it came up. I want more cooperation. Like Larry said, we need management. We need a full-time fire chief to run things. It's a mess. We need to just get it cleaned up. I see this as an opportunity. I see the candidates to run it, and if we get the right ones in, I think we can do it. I think we can improve it, make a better system for everybody. Keep it short.
Nelson?
My name's Nelson Hoggart. Been married to my wife Nancy for 51 years. We've been residents of Madison Township for 36 of those. I'm a father, grandpa, an Army veteran, candidate for the Madison Township Advisory Board. It was interesting that I heard all this discussion about the appearance of conflict of interest in the fire territory. Those are my concerns about those two things are the reason I'm running. And I was going to have led my introduction, but seeing how fast that green light goes off, I'm going to read this, so bear with me. The reason I'm running for the advisory board dates back to March 2020. Like a lot of Madison Township residents, I didn't attend local government meetings regularly. Saw my property tax going up every year, but really didn't pay attention to why. Then in 2020, I learned of and attended an advisory board meeting that was scheduled to discuss forming a fire territory of Harrison Township. The meeting was quite an eye-opener for me personally. It was very apparent that this was a really, really bad deal for Madison Township residents and taxpayers. Fortunately, this fire territory did not get enacted at that time, although it's my understanding that the proposal was tabled and can be brought back up for vote at any time. I was concerned that a proposal this bad for Madison Township was even being considered. And I was really curious as to how this could have gotten proposed in the first place. In the meeting, Harrison Township Fire Board member Mike Jackson said he was approached by Madison Township Clerk Kelly Alcala and Madison Township Fire Chief Mike Lang about forming this fire territory. According to the Wardsville Decatur Times, this proposal was made to enhance fire department benefits and pay with little or no regard to impact on Madison Township taxpayers. For 2021, the annual financial report showed the total personal services, which includes salaries, PERF, that's retirement, and Social Security was about just under $1.2 million. The proposed budget for this fire territory for TPS was $3,172,000 and some change, an increase of almost $2 million. Based on the proposal. My clan is going to benefit greatly from this. And I later learned that Kelly Alcala's husband was a member of the Madison Township Fire Department, would probably benefit as well. The fire territory would have more than doubled the Madison Township fire protection tax rate from 0.2159 per $100 of assessed value to 0.4809, increasing it 2.5 times. I verified with the DLGF and county auditor that my property tax would have been increased $500 a year if this fire territory was approved. And with the reassessments, that would now be just under $900 a mile alone.
I'm gonna cut you off. In fairness to the other people, because your time is up, the red line is
I'm
up.
out. Done. Okay.
You can bring up your other points
Pardon?
later. You can bring up your other points later, if you wish.
Okay.
Let me ask you, because this is really, I think, important to any of this discussion, particularly with these folks. How many people really know what the township advisory boards do? About a half. All right, well, let me quickly explain, and if I'm wrong, somebody will, I'm sure, correct me. The township is run by the trustee. That person is elected, that person sets the budget. Am I correct?
No. I'd be happy to.
Well,
It is not, it's set by the board.
okay, the board sets the budget.
The board sets the budget. The township trustee may present a budget to the board.
Okay, that's fine.
And then it is the board's responsibility to accept that as presented or make any changes.
Okay, do you agree with that? Okay, I stand corrected. So, having said all that, I'm gonna do some really quick questions here for these three people. And a lot of it's gonna be based on what the trustee candidate said earlier. So, starting with Nelson. Do you believe in a full-time fire chief, yes or no?
Yes.
And why?
For a lot of reasons, what Larry Ellis said made a lot of sense to me. You have a part-time fire chief that's absent a lot. I know we have a lot of volunteers. The time they're gonna work needs to be scheduled in, coordinated, and supervised. And, you know, if you have a part-time fire chief that's not there most of the time, I just don't know how you can do that effectively. It really does seem like that if we can make the money in the budget, you know, by rearranging the structure of our management within the fire department, and Larry kind of alluded to that from what I heard. Sounds like that's feasible. I'll tell you, it's the first time I've ever run public office. I'm not a polished politician, but I've been in jobs all my life that required a lot of decision-making, research, fact-finding, and all that. And I would approach this job the same way. I mean, understand it. I heard a lot of people ask questions. A lot of people don't understand how this works, and there's a lot of it I don't know, but I intend to find out if I'm elected.
Thank you. You, red lights on? Our time is getting tired. So am I. Kristin,
We absolutely,
full-time fire chief or not? Yes or no?
absolutely.
Okay, why?
If we don't have a full-time fire chief, then we don't have full-time leadership. We don't have somebody that the new guys can go talk to, or that somebody can talk to from the community to take a step in. If he's not there, how does he know what's going on underneath of him, and how is he able to handle the responsibilities delegated to him by the trustee?
Yes, we need a full-time fire chief.
Why?
Because we need better management and control of employees. They gotta have someone to go to. They need someone that I can go to as a board member to ask questions. The trustee doesn't know how to do it, go to the fire chief.
Yeah. What about firemen recording their times?
Time clock is, I think, a must. It's too easy to be a ghost employee if you don't have some type of documentation. And at the next board meeting, I'm gonna bring up the time clocks. We need to work with the payroll company too, to see if we get one interfaces with them, so they use it. It makes the clerk's job a lot easier.
Absolutely, time clocks should be everywhere. Anything that can hold you more accountable to your responsibilities, I'm for.
I don't know, sure. I don't know what all, what technology is available, but at all costs, we need to verify that the hours are being spent. And I mean, if it's time clock, then yes. You know, if there's something else I see that's better, then look at that.
Should the trustee and clerk have regular office hours, yes or no?
I think it's scheduled, yeah, that people, that the public can depend on, the hours they know they can go there and talk to them, see them. Yes.
Well, according to Indiana state law, Madison Township is now over 10,000 in their population. And not by a lot, but they are over, so they are required by law to hold at least 14 hours in office, the trustee is. And I would hold the clerk to the exact same standard.
Okay, Jim?
Absolutely should have hours.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah.
Should the Madison Township Fire Department have 5 vehicles?
No.
Other than the fire engines or apparatus?
No.
What would you think be an optimum number?
Well, we have a full-time chief, he should probably have a car, and then maybe assistant chief should have 1 car per pool car, should be kept at the station.
Okay, Kristen?
I'll agree with Jim. I believe that 1 take-home vehicle for a full-time fire chief is acceptable, and a part-time vehicle that is not for taking home for assistance.
I agree with both of them. I'd also like to see some controls on how it's driven and where and how many miles. And, you know, is it being used for township business or is it being used for personal use? That concerns me.
Any other transparency issues? Because both candidates talked about how that was very important. If you would like to see that, perhaps they didn't mention.
Well, I'd like to see a lot more of the community come to the board meetings, and you know, if I get in there, I want to try and find a way to come up with a way that that the community can stay informed and know when not only they're going to have scheduled meetings, but that they're going to have meetings that are necessary to come up. And I'd like for the public to have an easy way to check on that regularly and attend the meetings and come and listen to see what's being discussed and voted on.
Transparency is my number 3 priority, it really is. I believe, I did a survey, the community in Madison Township wants transparency, they want regular meeting times. I'd like to see our minutes posted regularly online. I would like to have monthly reports or at least quarterly reports done regarding finances, exactly where every single cent of our tax dollars are going, and to ensure that it isn't being misappropriated or spent frivolously.
Jim?
Yes, I think we need to get more on the website where the public can go to and see information, all the minutes be posted on there. I'd like to see all the meetings televised put on there too, where they can see the meetings if they can't attend. Seems like the only time they attend is when they think they're gonna get their budget cut, or like Senior Citizen Center, they thought they were gonna lose their $12,000. That place was packed. It's the most crowd I've ever seen there. Other than that,
City power. Any questions from the audience? Dana's, I think, falling down her job. It's okay, it's okay.
Positions are on the week 3.
Week 3.
So we can, at the GOP primary, we can vote for 2 on the list?
Well, there are 4.
There's 4 candidates for the GOP.
Yeah, 4 candidates in the GOP, you can vote for 3 of them. And then Kristen has, it's okay down. 4 years.
Anybody else have cards?
As mentioned earlier, Madison Township is 41st in the state in spending. You believe there is a way Madison Township can be more fiscally responsible?
yes, it is. We need to control where we spend our money on nice shiny new things like that last fire vehicle we bought. I think some people don't think it really needed. We bought those extra cars, and that wasn't with the board approval either. They bought those cars for all the assistant chiefs. That was wrong. That's just a few.
Okay, Kristen? Yeah. As mentioned earlier, Madison Township is 41st in the state in spending. You believe there is a way Madison Township can be more fiscally responsible?
Oh, there are lots of ways that Madison Township could be more fiscally responsible. We could start by putting GPS trackers in the current take-home vehicles to make sure that those vehicles are not taking joyrides, that they're only being used for work purposes. That's step one. And there's a long laundry list. I'm a mother of 3 who lost my job last year. I absolutely know how to balance a budget and pinch pennies to stretch them to where we would not have to raise taxes. I don't know that Madison Township's in a position where we could lower them right now because of the outstanding debts that they've incurred. But I would absolutely never, ever vote for an increase in taxes during my 4 years.
Yeah, I would hope so. The problem is, I'm not in office at this time, and I'm limited as to how much information I can get on what they are spending money on. I know I alluded to this earlier, I didn't get through my whole thing, but there's just, in the past, there's just been, I think, so many things, expenses put on the taxpayers that probably weren't needed, not necessary, but like to have and that kind of thing. That if that has happened, and I think it has, and it needs to end. And it's like someone else said, get the right people in office, we can end that.
One of the questions was, well, why here instead of Madison Township? Well, for one, we had access to this facility. If somebody wants to talk to me at the break about perhaps having a meeting like this, with people like this in Madison Township, I think we would be open to that. Let me ask one more question, and then I'm going to have you all do your summaries, because we need to take a break. Do you intend to have anybody in your immediate family involved in the fire department?
Absolutely not.
Do you intend to have anyone in your family or relatives on that fire department?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So, summarize. 2 minutes.
Okay, I've got some of the I'd like to bring to the township. First, we need more fiscal responsibility. We need more full-time fire chief, bring more accountability. Third, the latest thoughts found that it was no account for the hours worked and what time clocks put in. And first and fifth, the current updated website helps with transparency for everybody.
Okay.
To summarize, I'm not your general cup of tea. I'm a libertarian in a very red county and a very red township. I am young. I am new. This is the very first office I've ever run for. But it gives a fresh idea and a fresh brain to come at these problems that we've had for over 20 years. There are people that are in this administration now that have been in this administration since I was in elementary school. Sorry. And nothing's getting better. Everything just keeps getting worse. So I ask for you to really dig down deep when you get to the ballot in November and think about pulling an L for one race instead of all. Because the Republicans don't have your best interests at heart. Not all of them. We want them to, but they just don't. They're not compassionate. They're not cooperative, and their actions simply are principled. When you can look at a trustee and say, this is your responsibility, and he says, yeah, but people make mistakes, I delegated that over to this guy, and there's no accountability for these actions. This is gross, and it's negligent, and it's your dollars that they are playing with, not theirs. So they don't care, and I do care, because they're my dollars. It's my children's future. All the rest of these people in this board, their children are grown. My children will be here for at least another, my youngest is 5, so at least another 13 years. I'm invested in this community. I have contacted, I made phone calls, knocked doors before the primaries, so I knew what you wanted in a candidate. My suggestion is just to go watch the Madison Township videos, and then make your best educated decision for a candidate who cares about what they're doing.
Yeah, I believe it's important to have a separation of power in public office. Trustee candidate Denise McClure is the current clerk. She's married to Madison Township Deputy Chief of Administration Anthony McClure. Trustee Scott McDonough is a former Madison Township fireman and candidate for advisory board. Board member, we need a trustee and board members who will be objective and represent the taxpayers, not just the fire department. Government is designed to have checks and balances, but that has been missing in our township government. I'm running for advisory board because I believe this election is a critical one for Madison Township taxpayers. If we want low taxes, it matters who we elect as trustee and advisory board members. We can do this by electing Larry Ellis trustee and Jim Johnson, myself, as advisory board members.
Thank you. Let's give these folks a big round.